Hello, and welcome to the Behavior Education Connection, the podcast that works to connect the world of behavior analysis and the world of education. We focus on topics important to behavior analysts who work in the public schools and those who support them. Join us and spend time gaining insights and ideas as our host talks with fellow behavior analysts as well as other experts in the field.
Hello, welcome back to the Behavior Education Connection. I'm your host, Dr. Selena Layden, and I am excited today to have with me Amanda Cash. Hi, Amanda. How are you?
Hi, Selena. I'm good.
I'm glad you are here today. Can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. So I'm Dr. Amanda Cash. I work for Radford TTAC, and I've spent my entire career pretty much in schools, especially public schools, serving students and then teachers and the educators who work with them.
Great. And we are really excited to have you here today. You have been doing a lot of really great work, but today we are going to specifically focus on the importance of social skills and what does this mean for school-based behavior analysts and what their potential role could be with that. And so the first question I want to open up with is, why do we even care about social skills? Which sounds like a silly question, but I think it's a good place to start.
It's such an important place to start because I think sometimes social skills gets sort of pushed on the back burner. But when we look at all of the potential benefits of teaching social skills, it really should raise the priority level. So good social skills can help students have better transition outcomes, have better relationships both with staff and students at school, can even help with academic achievement. Really, like those social skills can improve the quality of life in all the ways for the students and the people that they're interacting with around them.
Yeah, and as behavior analysts, our job really is to help produce meaningful outcomes for socially significant behavior. And I think social skills, to your point, exactly, really is that piece, right? Like I think that one, it is socially significant because it's really hard to get around in the world if you have poor social skills or don't have social skills. And then two, it really does change for meaningful outcomes, right? And I think in school in particular, school is a social place. And I think of late, I hear a lot of anecdotal evidence that kids struggle in this area potentially more now than before, even. And so I don't know what your thoughts are about that.
I've heard that as well. And I think there are a couple components to that. And one is considering the diversity of experiences that students have had coming into their school experiences now, whether it was starting school at home during COVID, the amount of time spent socializing and interacting with technology or through technology, and also just the way that we are working together in schools and trying to help facilitate those social skills. So I think that, especially thinking about technology, there's just a different variety of social skills being practiced too that I know, like for me, was never part of my experience as a child or a teenager or even now.
Right.
And yet it just broadens that scope of what social skills kids need.
What a really great point. So we have determined social skills are important. Why should we be concerned about them other than the fact that they're great for the people that we support? But as school-based behavior analysts, what could be or should be our role in social skills instruction?
So, as school based behavior analysts, we have a lot of experience teaching skills and using both explicit instruction, following that I do, we do, you do model, and also thinking about that through the behavior skills training lens. And I think, especially that behavior skills training lens really includes that coaching piece, guided practice in coaching. And that's that we do, you do component of explicit instruction too. And those are both really important because social skills have to be practiced in such dynamic environments. There aren't consistent setups for when we're going to engage in social skills. And so, really expanding our instruction to include lots of different examples and lots of opportunities for practice across different settings and people and all of the different arrangements can be really important to establishing those skills. And behavior analysts come in having thought about how to set up that type of skill based instruction.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I learned when I worked in schools and having gone through a teacher prep program myself, I didn't get explicit instruction on how to teach social skills. And I hear from teachers a lot like, I wasn't taught how to do this. And so I think having someone who can come in and say, well, let's look at the environment and let's think about both strategic opportunities and natural opportunities when these can occur so that we can practice. Because I agree. I think social skills in particular are a unique skill set because they change contextually so much, right? It's not like I could teach you how to introduce yourself to someone, but that really does depend on the context of when is it appropriate and how do you do that? What do you say? And should you even approach that person? And, there's a lot of cues that you have to read and know.
Absolutely. And I think, to your point about not learning about social skills in teacher prep programs, I didn't have that experience either. And I think as a teacher, at first, I was pretty scared of the idea of teaching social skills because I didn't have that training. And so I think another role of behavior analysts is just to help connect for teachers that through line between what they already know about instruction and what makes good instruction to teaching social skills. So teachers are really great at explicit instruction and identifying what are critical features of a skill, how to teach examples and non-examples, how to embed that practice. They do it all day, every day. They just do it on other topics.
Right.
So I think another benefit, the behavior analyst can just help build that confidence by connecting it to what they already know and feel confident in.
Yeah, I like that a lot because I agree with you. I think teachers have a lot more skills than sometimes they even give themselves credit for. But it feels like a different application. And so making those connections to, you already know how to do this, let's just apply it to something that feels a little bit different to us. So what are some of those strategies and skills that you think are really important in teaching social skills?
So I've already kind of hit on them, but I think how you design that instruction is really critical. You're going to begin with some assessment, strong assessment, just like you would for assessing other behaviors, where you're really considering when that behavior is coming up, what is going on before and after, who does it involve, what are those settings? And you're using both formal and informal types of assessments to gather that information and making sure that you're involving all those important stakeholders, in particular the learner themselves. Because I think one thing that's really critical with social skills instruction is that you find out what's important to the learner. Is demonstrating this skill important to that learner? Are you able to help connect for them some potential benefits in their lives if they learn these skills? How are we building that rationale into the instruction to get buy-in from the student? One of the things that is unique about social skills is that poor social skills can really elicit some emotional responses from all of us. And so
Absolutely.
I think it's really important as the adults involved in the situation to always take that step back when you're starting to think about social skills instruction, to keep in mind, how is this going to benefit the learner? Is this an important skill for the learner? Or is this just something that's bothering me right now? And kind of evaluate where that is occurring.
Right. And I think that to your point about getting buy-in, social skills, I think the learner can see the benefit pretty quickly, right? Because all of a sudden we're sitting by our friends and we're playing more games and we're engaging in more social activities because our social skills are improving versus kids who feel like maybe they don't get to play as often or they don't get to play the games they want to play or whatever the case may be. And so I do think there is reinforcement built into that. But I also agree with you, what is important to the learner, not just what's important to those around them.
Absolutely. And especially with some of the things that we hear about neurodivergent learners in masking, really being aware of the what's important to the learner and also what they feel comfortable with. When are they being themselves and able to interact in a way that is most natural and is allows those opportunities for reinforcement in a way that is aligned with their values and with them as a person. And so then taking all of that information to build that instruction in a way that follows everything we know about good instruction. And so, like I said, making sure that we build out those examples, non-examples, we establish what those critical features are, And then knowing that there's going to be a lot of variable features, right? There are some things that are always part of greeting someone, but there's a lot of things, like you said, that are very different. So then making sure that we have all that practice and feedback to help shape those skills.
Yeah, I love that. So, one of the things that I do hear from educators a lot is I just want a curriculum. Like, I need a social skills curriculum. And I have always kind of leaned on there is not one comprehensive curriculum that can teach all the things that you need to teach at every level and every age and all the things. So, that said, I do think there are some really great resources out there. Do you have any that are kind of your go-to resources?
Yeah, so I totally agree with you about the curriculum. I know skill streaming is one curriculum I've used in the past, but even then, still making adaptations to make sure we're meeting those individual needs. There have also been some good articles written that help provide some decision making flow charts to guide setting up that instruction. There's one in particular by Walker and Berry. I can't think of the title off the top of my head, but if listeners want to reach out to me, I can send it to them. And that has the information that really walks you through establishing whether this is a performance deficit or a skill-based deficit, to consider questions around fluency and whether the skill's been developed strong enough to be demonstrated in the natural environment in the face of all of those changes. It really provides a lot of good information to help some of those decision-making questions along the way.
That's awesome. And we can actually link that in the show notes if you share that with me. Um, I think this is a lot of really great information, Amanda. And I think, a lot of times as school-based behavior analysts, we get brought in when there's a lot of interfering behavior that's occurring. And I think this is one of those opportunities that we can come in and support teachers, support the student in a way that's really positive and, really could make a huge difference for a lot of these students. So maybe we don't see some of those interfering behaviors. So something to definitely consider. Is there anything else that we didn't hit on that you want to talk about?
I think the main thing is just to take it back to that priority that we talked about in the beginning. Having worked on the adult service side too, I just see how these social skills can be compounding contributing factors to quality of life across a learner's lifetime. So focusing on them now, teaching these skills when students are young and helping to build those relationships so that they can feel like they really belong in all the settings across their life. That's one of the most meaningful outcomes we can ever ask for.
Yeah, I agree. Being able to be a part of your community in the way that you want to be, I think that's what everybody should get to do. So great. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciated the conversation today.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, we will see you on the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Behavior Education Connection. Join us next time for another great conversation about behavior analysis in the schools. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on an episode. Sending out a special thanks to the Virginia Department of Education for supporting our work. We look forward to connecting with you all again soon.